Okay, so let's get right back into it. Like I said, I skipped a little bit of scene which pretty much just summarized again how Playboy-esque his life was before this event. You'll see that this scene right here is still the time before the event happened, but it also introduces Pepper Potts, which is a good ally for him, and you kind of need to see their interactions to understand their allyship, I guess. The fact that she works for him, but she also kind of babysits him, and even still, while she kind of controls his life, he's still very much all for himself. So let's get into it.
It just doesn't work out the way I want it to, and I get real frustrated. I try hard to do it, and I take my time, and it just doesn't work out the way I want it to. It's like I concentrate on real hard, but it just doesn't work out. And everything I do and everything I try, it never turns out.
Compression in cylinder 3 appears to be low.
Love that. Hey Mike, you don't even notice you even have a lot of problems.
I'm going to try again.
Please don't turn down my music.
I'll keep you posted. You are supposed to be halfway around the world right
How'd
now.
you take it?
Like a champ.
Why are you trying to hustle me out of here?
Your flight was scheduled to leave an hour and a half ago.
That's funny. I thought with it being my plane and all, that it would just wait for me to get
Tony,
there.
I need to speak to you about a couple of things before I get you out of
I mean,
the door.
doesn't it kind of defeat the whole purpose of having your own plane if it departs before you arrive?
Larry called. He's got another buyer for the Jackson Pollock in the wings. Do you want it? Yes or no?
Is it a good representation of the spring period?
No, the Springs is actually the neighborhood in East Hampton where he lived and worked, not
So?
spring like the season. I think it's a fair example. I think it's incredibly overpriced.
I need it. Buy it. Store it.
Again,
Okay.
showing that he's
The MIT commencement
Oh,
It's
about
in
money.
June. Please don't harangue me about
well,
this stuff.
they're
It's
haranguing
way,
me,
way
so
down.
I'm going to say yes.
Well, deflect and absorb it. Don't
I need
transmit
you to
it back.
sign this
What
before
are
you
you
get
trying
on
to get
the
rid of me
plane.
for? What, do you got plans?
As a matter of fact, I do.
I don't like it when you have plans.
I'm allowed to have plans on my birthday.
It's your birthday.
Yes.
I knew that. Already?
Yeah, isn't
Again,
that strange? It's the same day as last year.
even though they work closely together and have been for years,
I already did.
he's all about himself and doesn't even remember her birthday.
Very tasteful. Thank you, Mr. Stark.
You're welcome, Miss Potts. Okay.
So again, I'm gonna kind of skip ahead a little bit to where he's back in this war time. Oops, a little too far ahead. Okay, so right around here,
Go.
where he's going back into where he got injured and he's waking up in the enemy camp, and continues on to his hero journey and close to the call of action in this upcoming scene. So I wanted to skip ahead to this part.
Hey, looks like it's going to be an early Christmas.
Hey, way to go, my boy. I'll see you tomorrow, yeah?
Why aren't you wearing those pajamas I got you?
Good night, Tony. Hey, Tony.
I'm sorry, this is the fun bee. The humdrum bee's back there.
Nice job.
See you back, bitch.
So at this point, I still would say he's in the ordinary world, but he's edging on the Strange World section of going into the hero's journey, but he's still on the edge. He's still in his hero's journey. I'm sorry if you hear stomping. Our computer room is in the basement, so everybody in my family's upstairs stomping around. But anyway, so he's still on the edge of being in the ordinary world because he still hasn't gone into that hero's journey part where he's going into a strange world, but he is on the cusp, and we'll move into it relatively soon as he gets his call to journey in the next couple scenes. Or call to action, rather. Or call to adventure. Sorry.
How would I know that if I were you?
So you can kind of consider this a strange world now, or going into it, not because he's changed locations, but because he's realized that his life is permanently changed because of the...
What I did is to save his life. I removed all the shrapnel I could. There's a lot there that's headed into your atrial septum. Here, want to see? I have a souvenir. Take a look. I've seen many wounds like that in my village. We call them the walking dead, because it takes about a week for the barbs to reach the vital organs.
What is this?
That is an electromagnet hooked up to a car battery, and it's keeping the shrapnel from entering your heart. That's right. Smile. We met once, you know, at a technical conference in Bern.
Don't remember.
You wouldn't. If I had been that drunk.
So, you can see that this character, even though he's only in this section of the film, he is a lot like a mentor character. And because he leads and guides the journey of Tony's hero journey. I'm talking gibberish. I'm sorry. He's guiding Tony through this part of the journey, and he's being a mentoring force, and he's also able to help him with his call to action at the beginning when he goes into what he's planning. And that call of action will actually be coming up. Though it won't seem like it, but I'll pause it just to reference it.
I wouldn't have been able to stand, much less give a lecture on integrated circuits.
Where are we?
As I do.
Come on, jazz up. Where's my guns? How did they get my guns?
Do you understand me? Do as I do. يا أهلا وسهلا وميت مرحبا بمستر توني ستارك، أشهر سفاح وقتل قتلة في تاريخ أمريكا.
He says, "Welcome, Tony Stark, the most famous mass murderer in the history of America."
So, I want to reference that point too, the most infamous mass murderer of American history, or whatever they called him, are in America, because it's referencing the fact that he's making weapons, even if accidentally, for the enemy side, which kills American soldiers. But also, I want to reference to the fact that while the hero's journey often changes a person's characterization, like I mentioned before, it also changes others' perception of the hero a lot of times too. So in this perception right now, not only is he considered a playboy, which was referenced when the soldiers were talking about, his many affairs with all those models or whatever, but also is referenced here from the enemy soldier, which is, again, an enemy, so it's part of that hero's journey. But also the fact that they perceive him as this great mass murderer, even if it's only accidentally, because of his weapons.
أنا فخور بمعرفتك.
He's honored.
عاوزك تعمل لي صاروخ جرب.
He wants you to build the missile.
اللي أنت كنت بتعرضه على الناس.
The Jericho missile that you promised.
نزل إيدك. فهمه.
This one.
So that's a call to action. You might not think it because it's sort of for a negative thing, and you would think that his call to action would be more of him going into a more heroic action, but call to action can sometimes just be an event which leads to someone becoming a hero, not an actual heroic thing. So his call to action is creating this missile. And you'll see next is the next part after the call to action, or the call to adventure.
I refuse.
The refusal. Right there, he's refusing. He's reluctant. And this torture is gonna make that refusal, null and void.
شيل الحاجة اللي على دماغه. يلا يلا. ايه رايك؟
He wants to know what you think. I think you got a lot of my weapons. كابتن صلاح مني.
من اصدقائنا الرؤساء الامريكان هذا موجود بانك تعمل لي جركو.
He says they have everything you need to build the Jericho missile. He wants you to make the list of materials.
وبعد كده
So this is
بالسلامة يا
a
قلبي.
repeat of the
روح
call
على
to
بيتك.
adventure.
He says for you to start working immediately, and when you're done, he will set you free.
Because I will do one thing
No, he won't.
to be set free. And he also knows that he's not going to be set free, but that leads him to do something else while still sort of pretending to create this missile.
I'm sure they're looking for you, Sal.
But this, again, like I said, it's still a call to adventure because it leads on to his heroic journey. Even if it's only to save himself and this
What you just saw.
person at first.
That is your legacy, Star. Your life's work in the hands of those murderers. Is that how you want to go out? Is this the last act of defiance of the great Tony Stark? Or are you going to do something about it?
Anything, they're gonna kill me. You. Either way, and if they don't, I'll probably be dead in a week.
Well then, this is a very important week for you, isn't it?
So I'm going to stop that right here, and so I can discuss this end part, because that little speech there is very good mentor speech, which makes him a good mentor because he's encouraging and he's giving this, really encouraging speech to Tony that even though they might die, they also have a week to make this weapon and maybe come up with a plan on on how to survive this, because they know that once he makes the weapon, they aren't going to set him free. They're going to kill him. So he's coming up with this plan. So I'm going to stop this recording for the day, and we'll go on tomorrow, and we'll continue this, the hero's journey. All right, so see you tomorrow.